Hi everyone, it's Callie Crozen coming to you inside of the journalism studio. I'm here for this special edition of WEBJ News, Hashtags and Headlines. We're live, let's get into it.
From Boston, this is WEBJ News.
Social media is integrated into every fiber of today's society. Think about it. How many social media apps are downloaded on your phone or computer, and how many times a day do you check those platforms? People are inundated with a constant stream of posts, likes, shares, and comments. Posting things to social media is a way to connect with friends and family to share life's moments. But for some, the reach and influence of their posts goes a whole lot further. Our reporter, Beilu Haigembes, is standing on one of the most photographed streets in America. Beilu, what do you have for us?
Hey Callie, right now I'm on Acorn Street in Boston's Beacon Hill neighborhood. The street is notorious on social media platforms like Instagram, with many people snapping post-worthy pics. But in the digital age we are living in, people are not just snapping pics in picturesque locations. They're finding creative ways to monetize their social media presence. With apps like YouTube and TikTok, users have access to an unlimited amount of content, whether it's lifestyle and fashion, gaming, comedy, and more. 27-year-old Kayla La Rosa posts analysis of pop culture moments on her YouTube channel, Kayla Says.
Let's go!
It all started during the COVID pandemic when La Rosa was a senior journalism student at Emerson College. After graduating, she struggled to find a job and figured she would make videos from home and post them on YouTube.
And so in 2020, I made a couple videos here and there about just some random topics that I had interest in, kind of emulating people that I watched.
La Rosa would later land several jobs as a news producer, but after gaining traction and over 100,000 subscribers, she found it difficult to find a balance between the two. She then decided to shift her focus to YouTube.
And a lot of media companies do this. If you have an independent venture that's not tied to them, they will ask you to declare it as an asset that they can monitor. And I didn't want to do that.
But unlike many other YouTubers, La Rosa still has a job outside of content creation. She now works in marketing, and in addition to her salary, she receives stuff like health benefits. But that doesn't mean there's no profit with the videos she makes. Through ad placements, sponsorships, and a Patreon where her followers can pay her directly for bonus content, La Rosa is able to make a living out of it.
I won't say how much it is, but it's a sizable amount of my income in a way that it was not previously.
Content creation and monetization looks different for everyone. Simone Ohalik, a current senior at Emerson College studying acting, has been posting on TikTok since 2020.
I do a lot of outfit-based stuff because I'll get sponsors to send me free clothes, and then I'll do a try-on haul and stuff like that. But it's a lot of lip-syncing videos.
With almost 600,000 followers on the app and a large amount of influence, Ohalik says that depending on the brand and contract, posting with a certain product of theirs can land her anywhere between $35 and $200.
Honestly, this past month has been oh, I can actually make money off of this.
Posting on YouTube, TikTok, or whichever platform has allowed users across the world to create what they want and gain an audience. Ohalik urges people to stay consistent with it.
Everyone has a niche and everyone has interests, and your interests definitely align with somebody else's as well. So if you post to a certain group of people, a certain demographic, it will do well.
La Rosa adds to be mindful when doing so.
Get into it, yeah, experiment, tell stories, have fun. But remember that you are not infallible. Use your platform wisely. If you make a mistake, just own up to it. It's so much easier than doubling down on nonsense.
When I talked to Kayla and Simone, they really encouraged people to post whatever content is right for them and to have fun with it. But at the same time, to be cautious about what you post and say online. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Beilu. Now, one social media platform in particular, TikTok, has stirred up some controversy here in the U.S. TikTok is owned by Chinese internet company ByteDance with over 135 million U.S. users. Reporter Sabrina Lin has a closer look at TikTok and its influence.
Currently, there are roughly more than 10 million TikTok users in the US who consider themselves full-time content creators. With the commercializations of the platform, millions of online celebrities have made money through TikTok.
I make a living, by shooting videos, but I think other benefits would be I've learned a lot from, same type of
According to new research, TikTok continues to leading usage among young Americans aged 18 to 29 despite a potential U.S. ban, reflecting its outsized influence in this age group.
So it was really crazy because it just made me realize how culturally relevant TikTok was.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled TikTok's divestment legal, putting national security ahead of free speech and sparkling a new round of controversy over the scope of First Amendment protections.
Those platforms are very, have tremendous protection under the First Amendment. So I think, and the ban on TikTok is not really a ban. It's sort of a threat to sell the company, or it's going to be closed down by Congress.
Right now, there is no ban in place, but the threat of a ban did spark a broader discussion about data security, technology regulation, and social media freedom. Reporting in Boston for WBJ News, I'm Sabrina Lin.
Thanks, Sabrina. For one local radio reporter, a strictly audio-based career shifted to the world of video when his boss began a station TikTok account.
I love finding those stories where it's like, this is something I've wondered my whole life growing up in Massachusetts. Now I get paid to answer that.
With the changing landscape in the journalism industry, many reporters are utilizing every tool in the toolbox, including the ones right in their pockets. With a shift to short-form content, social media plays a pivotal role in uniting communities.
Matt Shearer, also known as Reporter Matt, has made waves in his journalistic social media presence. Starting off as a radio journalist, Shearer found his niche in the audio format. It wasn't until the industry pushed him towards short-form content that he found the importance of social media in his daily reporting.
What we don't have in radio or television is a For You page, an algorithm that puts your show in front of people who have never heard it before. But we have that on social media. So it's an amazing tool to find new listeners and also meet the people where they are already.
As a Massachusetts local and a seasoned radio journalist with an ear for compelling narratives, Shearer specializes in finding the untold gems of Massachusetts. Recently, he began a series of features highlighting local Massachusetts towns and all they have to offer.
I show up to these towns with no plan, no prior research, no interviews booked, and I just start talking to people and figure out what the story is.
With a unique approach to reporting that seamlessly crosses platforms, Shearer talked about the importance of keeping your audience engaged.
I had an old boss who talked about the 3 C's: clear, concise, and consistent. And I keep that in mind with every story that I do.
While clear and concise storytelling is imperative to curating engaging stories, one of the most important things is consistency in your editing style. For Shearer, it begins and ends with strong audio.
It becomes like a puzzle. How do I set this up in like a way that has a good narrative flow, right? Like a good, strong opening that's going to hook the viewer right away on social media. It's going to have multiple peaks throughout and reasons to stick with it. Where's the pivot? And then what's the climax and how am I going to end it?
As of 2024, according to the Pew Research Center, 54% of adults reported they initially get their news from social media. Reporters are now faced with an imperative decision to meet their audience where they're at.
We need to be there and not be relying on, some random person who just read a Wikipedia article to report it for us. We need credible journalists out there with good newsroom resources.
Navigating an industry that's consistently changing to fit the attention span of the audience and the needs of communities may feel a bit complex. Yet according to Shearer, social media is a critical tool in building trust and connection with the communities you serve. His advice?
Over time, you'll find your voice and you'll fly, you'll soar.
As of 2024, a reported 94% of journalists utilize social media for their work. Yet it's all in how you use it to strengthen your skills. In the age of short-form content, reporters like Matt stick out by keeping their stories fresh, fast, and in the feed. From Boston, for WEBJ News, I'm Peyton Kavanaugh.
Thanks, Peyton. Coming up after the break, we'll take a closer look at the First Amendment and its impact on social media, and find out why social media is so addictive. We'll also hear from Boston News anchor David Wade on his use of social media as a journalist. Stay tuned.
Attacks against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are on the rise.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer. In terms of the hate crimes, I think there is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
I love you!
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. Alright, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Welcome back to Hashtags and Headlines, a WEBJ special. I'm joined in studio with our reporter Peyton Cavanaugh. Now, Peyton, you had the opportunity to sit down with David Wade, a local anchor for WBZ Boston's CBS station. What did you take away after talking with him?
Yeah, thanks, Callie. It was a really wonderful conversation with David Wade, talking about just how social media has helped him in his day-to-day life as a journalist, a local reporter, not only with sourcing, but also just being able to distribute his stories on multiple different platforms. Here's a little bit of that conversation. Could you speak a little bit about the credibility that you hold with your audience being at WBZ in Massachusetts?
Well, I hope I have credibility. I've been doing this a long time now here in Boston. The years tick off very quickly. It's 2025, so I've been in Boston for 27 years, as first a reporter for about 5 or 6 years, and then I've been a news anchor since 2002. And I think Boston is sort of a funny city in which people really want to know that you know their city. And being from here, I feel like I have a connection with the people that I run into every single day, because we all have sort of the same past experiences. We remember all of the same big news stories. And so I think through the years, you start to gain more credibility. When people see you on TV for that length of time, they start to understand, like, okay, this is a person I can trust. This is a person who knows the area. This is a person who knows how we think as Bostonians. So I think it's super important to have that connection with your audience and to let them know I'm here for you and you can always trust what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking to this credibility and this connection that you have with your audience that is very special, could you talk about how you utilize social media to enhance that connection?
Well, I think social media is really interesting because at first, I think people say, oh, that's kind of a cool little side thing, right? You can go on there and just have a little fun. But what you realize through the years is social media can be such a tool to, one, connect with your viewers in a different way, right? People really love when you comment back to them and you sort of have that back and forth. So I think that's super interesting because maybe that little aspect of having a one-on-one connection didn't exist as much before social media, so I think that's really important. Secondly, I think it's an opportunity to tell the stories that you tell on TV in a completely different way. Usually a shorter version, usually just a little more conversational, which I think is interesting because for so long, TV news was just so rigid, right? And so conservative in how it was portrayed and delivered. And I think social media gave everyone an opportunity to say, okay, here's me as a regular person. Okay, here's a story that's in the news today. And I'm just gonna talk about it like I'm talking to a friend. And I think news on TV, when it's at its best, is like that. But there are still some traditional built-in aspects of TV news that aren't just quite as just relatable as social media. So I think it's a super interesting place to go to have that interaction and to, at the end of the day, we're trying to do the same thing, which is tell stories and educate people to what's in the news. And I think social media is a great place to do that. At the end of the day, everyone has a phone and a tablet nowadays, and you have to find the people. You have to find them on their phone. You can't just sit back on this anchor desk and wait for people to come to you. And I think that that is something that social media gives us as another tool in our toolbox.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking to that, you talked a lot about in our class using social media to source for your stories.
Yeah.
Could you tell us maybe like a story of how
Sure.
that has helped you?
Yeah, so I have a segment here at the station called Question Everything. Usually viewers will send in a question saying, hey, what's going on with my heating bill this year? My delivery charge is through the roof. What does this mean? And so I say, all right, well, I want to do a story on this. I'd also like to find some people who might have a truly interesting story, right? Somebody who says in December my bill was $200, 2 months later it's $800. So I'll use social media by just throwing it out there. Hey, I'm working on a story about energy bills and these high delivery costs. Who's it affecting out there? Tell me something about your daily life and what it's doing to you. And you'll get all of these great responses that sometimes you just use as background information, as research. And sometimes you say, hey, would you do an interview with us? You know, that's a really compelling story that you told. And so suddenly I have this on-camera person who's willing to tell their story that before social media existed might be a little bit more difficult to find. So I use it as this crowdsourcing tool as a way to tell my stories. And I get a kick out of it because, again, you start to get the flavor of what people are thinking about when it's on this particular topic.
Yeah, absolutely. And so from when you first started in this industry to now, how have you noticed a shift, if any, to social media and short form content?
I think short form, those two words are super important because I think early on, the people who didn't sort of adapt to social media thought, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to talk for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. No one's going to get any information out of that. And then you start to realize, well, actually, if you do it in a compelling manner, you can tell a lot about a story in a minute or so, right? And for us, the way it works is you'll get something out there on TikTok or on Instagram or Facebook. And what it does is you give them a piece of the story. And it opens their eyes up to what you're doing as a TV station. So the next time they turn on the TV, they may say, you know what, I'm going to check out WBZ because David Wade did this story the other day about why we don't have financial literacy courses in school. And I found it really interesting. And the presentation was a little bit more like, loosen up the collar and just talk to the camera. And I like what they do. And so it's another way to bring viewers in. Again, you have to find viewers nowadays because they're not just sitting in front of their TV. And when you're able to tell a story in a short form format, that's hard to say, by the way, I think you open up some eyes as to the bigger stories that we're also doing on television.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Peyton. Your conversation with David Wade highlighted the innovation journalists are using to connect with audiences over social media. After the break, we'll hear more about social media and freedom of speech. Reporter Faith Pino will also be in the studio to explain the addictive algorithms these platforms use.
Attacks against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are on the rise.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer. In terms of the hate crimes, I think there is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
I love you!
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. Alright, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Welcome back to Hashtags and Headlines. When interacting with various social media platforms, it can be easy to get sucked into a rabbit hole and spend hours scrolling.
There's not like a break in it, I would say. So it'll go from like there was an earthquake in Myanmar this morning. It'll go from like that to like a Bill Burr clip on the next one, and it just feels weird.
Gavin Miller and everyone else using social media are all subjected to algorithms designed to users on the platform. Our reporter Faith Pino is here to tell us a bit more about these algorithms. Faith?
Hi, Callie. That's right. Each platform has its own unique system, but the main goal is the same: to keep users engaged. The more they interact with a certain type of content, the more likely that they'll see posts like it. Posts with more likes, comments, and shares also get prioritized in that platform's needs. Now, with TikTok and YouTube, viewers' watch time is also a part of the algorithm. The longer you watch a video, the more the algorithm thinks you'll like the type of content and will keep on populating similar content. And what's really keeping people hooked is something built into the basic design of social media. That infinite scroll feature taps into the most powerful reward mechanisms in our brains: dopamine. You're basically pulling a virtual lever, much like a slot machine at a casino. This tricks the brain into feeling good every time you pull that virtual lever and scroll up and load more content.
Wow, Faith, it's fascinating and a little unnerving to think about how much science goes into keeping us glued to our screens. Now, with these algorithms, users often only see content that reinforces their existing beliefs, and the system can prioritize controversial or extreme content to drive engagement. This brings into question the limits of what social media can be said on platforms. Reporter Danielle Dubois has more.
The rise of social media has sparked debate surrounding freedom of speech online. Platforms like X, Instagram, and TikTok have become the center for expressing thoughts and opinions. Justin Silverman, executive director of the New England First Amendment Coalition, breaks down the challenges of the First Amendment in social media.
First Amendment usually doesn't apply in cases involving social media or private platforms. And they largely have a First Amendment right themselves to operate those platforms however they see fit.
While the First Amendment doesn't apply in social media cases, there's still a line at hand when it comes to censorship on social platforms.
So where the lines are is a combination of, well, what are these social media policies? What are these platforms allowing and not allowing? And then where is the law?
With social media platforms allowed their own First Amendment rights, many apps are receiving hate for not putting restrictions on what their users can see. Student Wiley Jelnick joined social media at a young age and thinks social media sites could do a better job with restrictions.
I just saw things that as an 8-year-old you don't need to be seeing, but I think definitely content-wise, things should be limited. Speech-wise, it's hard.
Other students like Mia Salamini don't think restrictions are needed.
Certainly not. I think if anything, any restrictions on what you're posting and stuff should be up to your parents if you're younger than 18.
As social media continues to grow, the conversation of freedom of speech and First Amendment rights aren't going anywhere. For WEBJ, I'm Danielle Dubois.
Thanks, Danielle. Social media can often set unrealistic expectations. After the break, we'll hear about mental health and promoting a positive body image on social media. Stay tuned.
Attacks against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are on the rise.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer. In terms of hate crimes, I think there is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
I love you!
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. Alright, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Welcome back to Hashtags and Headlines. From filtered photos to curated feeds, social media often presents a highlight reel of people's lives. For some, like Aparna Prabhakar, this picture-perfect feed is not realistic and can have negative consequences.
I really disliked this kind of white femininity that Instagram just carries in its algorithm. Same with TikTok. I'll see it's just a bunch of skinny white girls dancing, and I don't relate to that content, and I don't want that to be ingrained in anybody's brain as a beauty standard.
Social media has an impact on mental health, self-esteem, and body image. Reporter Sophia Rossetti has a closer look at these effects. Sophia?
Social media is a way for people to stay connected and share their lives. But do we really share everything? And at what cost? Dr. Casey Talent, Director of Telehealth Development for ERC and Pathlight Mood and Anxiety Center, shares the dangers of social media.
So you may be having the worst day of your life and you're browsing online, and do you see anyone else having the worst day of their life? No.
To constantly see people living these manufactured, picture-perfect lives can have a large impact on your mental health and how you view your body.
You see glitz and glamour and perfection and wonderful and all the things, and so it feels like everything and everyone are really having different experiences with the world than you are.
It's important to take a step back and remember that the content we consume doesn't always paint the full picture. Deb Schachter, social worker and author of Body Image Inside Out, shared her perspective.
But I think seeing it as being really mindful when you take it in, and whatever it means to you is worth being curious about. So if you see a body and you have a big feeling, or you have a big drop in your stomach and you're like, oh, what's that about? You know, what are you reacting to, or what are you longing for? And, you know, what's happening here?
Schachter recommends being actively aware of the content you consume and replacing mindless scrolling with strengthening your real-life connections. For WEBJ News, I'm Sophia Rossetti.
Thanks, Sophia. Throughout this special, we've seen how social media is shaping the way we communicate and consume information. From content creators turning posts into paychecks and algorithms engineered to keep us scrolling, it's clear that these platforms are more than just apps. They are powerful forces in our daily lives. But with that power comes responsibility. So where do we go from here? As users, we have to be aware of how these platforms work and to think critically about the content we consume. We have to ask ourselves, are we controlling our social media experience, or is it controlling us? That wraps up this special edition of WEBJ News, Hashtags and Headlines. I'm Callie Crozen. Thank you for watching.